Well, hello, my name is Brian from Dotnet. What I'm about to show you is a really good book that I've been reading for the last week or so. And basically it encapsulates everything I possibly could learn for both technical in terms of implementing and designing a .NET trading platform, especially a high-speed one, and all the techniques I'm going to show you from this book through the table of contents will show you what I mean. And not only that, but the last year I've been exposed to some pretty, we'll call them insider type of systems in small prop shops, but are very profitable, very large prop shops. And I've learned some of the secrets that make those platforms and those firms very successful and highly profitable. When I say high profitable, I mean profitable with no down days and virtually profiting in 7 to 8 digits per month. And I have no reason to BS about this because I'm not going to be selling anything in this video. It's a book. I don't own the book. I have no affiliation with the book. I'm just going to give you an Amazon link on my blog. So it's up to you if you want to learn about how to really truly profit in the world of trading, especially in the modern way, in what I call next generation trading, using quant techniques and highly advanced proprietary trading systems. Now, before I continue, the book we're going to be looking at is called C# and Financial Markets. Now, it's from somebody by the name of Daniel Duffy and Andrea Germani. Now, Daniel Duffy is a pretty prolific author in running a firm that helps companies build good high-speed trading systems. He's done both C# and C++. Now, he's been using C++ for quite a while, and from what he says, his platforms are pretty popular and well versed in the world of academia and industry. I don't know who this Andrea Germani is, but I have posted already a link on Wilmot.com from Daniel Duffy why he thinks .NET is the right language to work with, or the right framework to work with C++ for legacy type of algorithms and whatnot. But in a nutshell, he says that you really only get a 20% increase in performance with C++ versus C#. Now, if you're obviously high speed or high frequency trading, C++ is what you need. Now, not only that, but you could talk about .NET versus Windows versus Linux. Now, I've been doing this for a while. I've been a tech guy for the last since I've been pretty well 14 years old. So I've been around for a while. I'm like a fossil, and that's okay. I've gone through the days of hating Microsoft and loving Microsoft and back and forth with them, and Linux and Unix, same thing. What I can tell you, just coming into now 2014, is I'm starting to realize that Microsoft has really lost a lot, and they know that. So they've tried to really revolutionize a lot of their languages and platforms and databases and all that stuff. And you can follow my blog to quantlabs.net to understand where I'm coming from. But when you look at platforms like Linux and open source stuff like R, Python, I think now over time the enterprise, being hedge funds, investment banks, and prop shops, bulge brackets, whatever you want to call them, a lot of them stick with Windows and .NET. It gets you up and running faster, it's easier to maintain, and the products keep getting better and better each year as Microsoft and pretty well any vendor in this business has to keep their product life cycles fairly short between each iteration. So that is my view on the .NET versus Linux and C++, all that. Now, when you look at what I'm about to show you, you'll see that C++ has had some of these techniques for many years, and now you get Java trying to catch up. Python has got it, and R, and then Matlab. There's a lot of reference to all these languages in this book. But C# is a really powerful language. You can go very low level. Makes you highly productive in the coding end. Very easy to maintain, which pretty well puts this language, what I would view, light years ahead of everything else. C++ is still important, obviously, and I think Microsoft's done a pretty good job where you can maintain legacy pure C++ code at the same time with the new C++ or Visual C++, be able to integrate it with .Net, and there's some tricks I didn't know about that you could do, and I learned them all from this book. I'll show you those as well. Now, for those that are into trading, now I've divided up this book review into two separate videos. One on technology, and the other on, let me just show you that. The other one is on algorithms and industry. Industry meaning the different types of assets you need to know about, how they look, how you use them, and so on and so forth. This particular video, I'm just gonna stick with purely technical and .Net. But if you, like I said, if you really want to learn about trading and the real secrets behind it to profit, again, this is no quick rich scheme. This is no push button technology. This is like where you got to get in the weeds and understand this stuff, and understand it at a fairly advanced level to really succeed at it. And only those driven will just be able to keep up. Meaning that they're able to fully understand the advanced concepts in what I'm about to show you. So some of them are beyond me, and this is years in the making. But if you're going to be learning about quant, high-speed, automated trading, algorithms, a high percentage of the job is going to be revolved around coding and programming. Now, if you don't like coding and programming, I'd highly recommend you to find another business or take your portfolio and bet in the world of casinos or gambling. Because if that's not the case, you're really not going to be able to take full advantage of what's out there in terms of coding and programming. It's a standard that you got to be really good at it. But with C#, that makes life easier. Now, in terms of the book, what I'm about to show you is not an introductory programming course or book to C# or just programming. You got to be fairly advanced and intermediate, because it goes into design patterns, goes into various techniques on other things I'm about to show you, and you'll see what I mean. Enough of the jibber jabber. I probably spent enough time on that already. But just caveats, my opinions on where we're at in 2014. So let's get into this. As I said, this is not a book about just basic C#. This is fairly advanced stuff as we move into the book. So chapter 2 just kind of like introduces you at a very high level all the different techniques in C#. Now, as I was about to say, the real secret in being successful is to make your trading platform highly customizable, highly maintainable, and most of all, it has to be light. And this book is the very first book that I've ever seen that shows you all those techniques. And being able to use in-memory data structures and that sort of thing. So this book is really good at that. This is just a starting point. As you get better, you probably re-optimize, tweak, and make your code better. But this is a good roadmap to get you onto that path, and especially with a language like C#. So as I said, chapter 2, it's going to show you all the basic stuff like structures, memory management, all the different string character types, console apps, very important, structures, and then just introduce you to mini option pricing. Now the structure of the book is fairly interesting. It's kind of like built around a course type of structure. So you get your summary, but then most of all you get the exercises and the projects. Now all these chapters that I'm going to show you in both videos are going to have source code, and they're fairly well maintained, fairly well documented, and from my point of view, I'll be using this source code as a launching pad now to move into actual systems. But I'm also going to be taking all the components that I've shown in my workshop on data capture, real-time data capture, as well as executing trades through interactive brokers. So, Chapter 3 contains stuff, as you can tell from the table of contents here, how to use classes properly, you know, basic stuff, you know, gives an example of some options stuff. Now, this book also focuses, it really complements the other book that I was going on about called Trading System and Methods from P.J. Kaufman. So this one, P.J. Kaufman's book focuses more on futures. This book, and a little bit of Forex. This one complements this because this one focuses on options as well as fixed income. So you're getting all the major assets here. Pretty cool. I'm going to show you all that in the algo and industry video on this book, but stay tuned for that. So, you know, with all the classes are really important to be able to highly organize all your classes properly. This book shows you how, it gives you some good examples of how to do that in an optimal kind of way. Also shows, again, all the examples with financial applications. So we got here European option pricing, how to do develop your own API for mathematical functions using the Black-Scholes formula, and so on and so forth. And not only that, gives you a brief introduction to inheritance, lots of examples, again revolving around options here with a payoff hierarchy, and blah blah blah. Now chapter 4 again gets into the more advanced features of C#. Now just so you know, this book is about 26 chapters, okay, spanning over 2 videos. That's why I did that, because these videos would get really long if it was done in one. So here's some more classes chapter and more at C# advanced features. Now obviously shows you how to use interfaces. Now interfaces are really important because that's part of the trick and secrets to making your application or your platform really light, is using delegates and interfaces. So that's your secret number 1. Okay, so here's an example of using the CIR bond and option pricing models, other ones, bond models, differential or SDE equations, option pricing, how to do interfacing or build interfaces with .Net. Very important stuff. Now there's abstract classes, interfaces, all this explicit, implementing interfaces. Again, examples with the testing as well, testing applications. Now, again, another important part is delegates. I mentioned that. Delegates with lambdas as well is a number 2 secret. Okay, using lambdas, functions for instant queries, filtering, that sort of thing against objects that you have. Really important stuff. There's a comparison between delegates and interfaces, how to build lambda functions, and things like just basic stuff like static constructions, finalizing, and casting. This is a really important keyword, the VAR. There'll be some discussions about that in a little bit. So obviously we have different types of delegate types here, multicast, generic, so on and so forth. Now here's another thing that's really important, is data structures and collections. This shows you, actually not this one, let me just give me a second here. No, this is part of it, which will show you how to keep your applications light. Okay, this is another example how to do that using different data structures. So, you know, talks about arrays, jagged arrays, all that stuff, boundary checking, dates, blah, blah, blah. You know, you got all the different collection types, hash table, dictionary, list, all that. Stack, queue, sorted dictionary, manipulated strings, discussion on COM. Dynamic binding is an interesting one. Okay, that is a key right there, so you can know how to load code on the fly in runtime instead of having it built in during the compile process. Okay. Now, part of it, actually, this goes into the next chapter 6. Again, more tricks, more secrets. This is a big time key for that. Is generics. Always use generics, like templating in C++. Because what you're doing is you're building rules and logic around generic types, meaning they're not instantiated objects, meaning that they're not taking up memory. And the less you do, the better, the faster your system is. So that is a key. And I know that can be done in Java. So that's actually a lot of this functionality came from Java. But this is really key. I can't stress that enough. And then, of course, you blend or merge that with interfaces and your inheritance and whatnot. Many examples are given here. Okay, so we got different types of arrays, matrices. Now, this is another key here, is because if you go into research type of languages or researching prototyping type of tools like R or Matlab, this is key because you are going to be now manipulating through a time series matrices and vectors and that sort of thing. This is where you start building your own custom data, which is again important to minimize and have full control over those objects as you create them. And of course you will build lookup tables and other things like tuples as well. Okay, so this is another key example of how to build lightweight applications, because when you start understanding that, the importance of it, you'll understand that is going to be a key ingredient to make your system really fast. Okay, chapter 8. So you can see chapter 7 would be under the business or the algorithm and industry, video, whatever. Okay. Okay, so data management, data life cycles. Again, understanding the importance of this. This includes how to apply them to trading applications, calculating the data, data storage devices, streams with input-output, and creating adapters and that. Now this is an interesting one. File info, all that. Yeah, I don't know if that's useful, but serializing is important to serialize data memory to the disk and be able to do it in XML or binary format, and so on and so forth. And here you got an interface there too. Cool. And how to again apply that in the world of financial and trading applications. Now, it doesn't stop there. As I said, with C# you can interface with C and C++ through the CLI. I mean, it's a pain in the ass, but this is another way of doing it. I've not shown this to anybody in my membership how to do this. This book is something different. I've seen this before, but the nice thing about this book is that I haven't seen this anywhere online. I'm sure it's out there. Just looking for this stuff is like, it'll take you days, probably even weeks to find it and try to understand how to do it right. But with this book, as I said, encapsulates all the hard stuff for you, and it puts it all in one spot or in one space, obviously in the book here. So yeah, you can have C++ call C#.NET components, or through assemblies or DLLs, and vice versa. And this book shows you how to do that. So it goes into full description of how assemblies work, and the namespaces with the assemblies and all the different pieces that go with the assembly. Now here's something that's really important, another key to really speed up your system, something called reflection. Reflection is really important. Now I did verify C++ has it, Java and Python has it. Okay, but then there's also the C# way, and not only that, but be able to use C# and C++ together, which is kind of nice. So what that enables you to do is basically generate your objects, let's say your methods, and dynamically execute them. And you can execute them in runtime very fast, very quick, and that is another key ingredient, key secrets to building high-speed trading systems. So this is an area that is not talked about a lot, but it's here in this book, and boom, 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 right? So, as I said, you can use a native C++ from C#. And you can also have C++ call C# objects as well, .Net. Now, there's an API for the reflection, as it says, goes on about stack, dynamic method, all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. Okay? Really important for reflection. There's different ways to do it in different languages. Another one that is ultimate and fast is assembler. Dropping hints there, aren't I? Alright, so let's talk about another tool I've never really talked about a lot, is Excel. Excel's kind of cool because obviously everyone knows Excel. There's some power that comes with Excel. It's pretty cheap, but it comes with a lot of functionality. So I think through this book I'll be using Excel a lot with worksheets and running all kinds, but there's some really neat stuff that this book explains later on in the set of chapters here. So, as I said, this book did cover fixed income bond pricing. It does some bond scheduling and all this mathy stuff. It's like, I just breezed through this book. But what I want to highlight here is that there's lots of examples of how to interoperate with Excel, meaning you can call Excel from C#. You can obviously create serialize and deserialize, create Excel files, so on and so forth. And then there's some bond mathy stuff. That'll be further explained in the other video. Alright, so if you're still with me, congratulations, because this is not an easy process. Now, design patterns are really important. This book really heavily talks about it. Again, one of those topics I don't talk about, but it is important because there's sample code. It's great to use these examples to move forward with proper usage of design patterns. So obviously it just goes on about the gang of 4 different patterns, which are all these: facade, structural, builder, behavioral, visitor, all that stuff. And shows examples how to do it and how to use specifically financial applications or coding examples on how to use different design patterns. So when we got builder, using this calibration algorithm for cap and floor, caplet volatility, blah blah blah, PD, FDM, equity pricing, high level design, more delegates, design pattern, and so on and so forth. Now, he goes on about dynamic programming a lot, both authors, something to further look into. It is quite possible the future of programming is gaining a lot more popularity, and specifically in the world of financial applications. So let's talk about another technique. Again, I've already mentioned this before, but this goes into very great detail. This link, or language integrated query and fixed income application examples. Okay. Remember, there's 7 more chapters to go. I'm sure you could see how overwhelming and why it's a very slow process to piece all this stuff together. Okay, so as I said, it goes on about link, the different collections and non-collections that you can use with it, using lambda queries with compositions, more complicated stuff, queries, subqueries, composition, integrated numerical example, aggregation, setter operation, join and group join. Now, just so you know, you can use link against memory objects, Excel, as well as database, your database objects as well. So this may come in kind of handy in either my own SQL, which I'm hoping to use, and other stuff. Very cool. So there's some further examples here of using LINQ. All this stuff, bonds, discount factor, cash flow aggregation, LINQ, Excel, using them together. Yeah, you see the fun stuff. Now, again, as I said with Excel, it's got a great, three chapters on Excel. Actually, 4. I'll show you. Chapter 20, how to use, hang on. Oh, yeah, chapter 20. It talks about COM, how to use it, when to use it, PIA, with it, all your workbook and worksheets, how to use it with charts, the different ways to connect and manipulate Excel objects within .NET, Excel, LL, XLA, COM, automation, VSTO, using the Excel driver, what kind of data structures you can use, so on and so forth. Now it gets more specific by how to create add-ins within Excel. Gives you a COM overview, different examples with some kind of calculator, versioning, volatile methods, which is part of the coding from the .NET perspective, VBA, and further exercises. Wow. Alright, so chapter 22 takes it even further. How to use COM add-ins, how to use a Windows form application to use as input that can be passed into Excel for your output. You do that with a typical hello world, introduce you to something called the Excel DNA, and it gives you some financial examples. Again, simple option pricer, rate curves, and then it just goes on and on with this Excel DNA. Good example, like really good examples on how to use it with the code, coding samples, rate multi-curve. Now this is another one. This is really cool. I've heard about this, but I didn't know how to use it. But with RTD, real-time data server, you can use this for real-time data. So this is probably something that how Bloomberg and Reuters use for their data sources for real-time. They probably use a product like this so that when you subscribe to their service for data, it's going to pump using this type of technology. Maybe they may have their own solution, I don't know, on how to pump that data into Excel, where Excel is able to keep up with that data. So there's some examples on how to use that. Top of class data, RTD server, using creating an instance, testing, troubleshooting, all that stuff. Wow. Okay, so now this is where it gets really advanced. Really, really advanced. Okay. What happens is here in chapter 5 is multithreading. Multithreading is pretty confusing, but from my perspective, C# pretty well has ripped off all the stuff from Java. I mean, let's be honest. That's what C# was a more intelligent J# that Java or Microsoft was trying to do in their evil days of J# trying to kill Java. So they launched J#, which evolved into C#. So all this threading stuff is pretty well similar to what you find in Java. So talks about the different types of threads, difference between process and threads, passing data to threads, all the standard stuff you find in threads, sleeping, joining, interrupt abort, priority pooling, interlock class, handling. Now ultimately, threading's fine, but when it comes to high speed, you want to have lock-free threading. Okay, Fastflow is one of those libraries that do that, but I'm still trying to find out if that can be ported into Windows. I think it can be, but interesting stuff here with the threading. So we got multi-threaded data structure, some more patterns here, producer-consumer pattern, an example, blah, 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 blah. Okay, now it gets in the advanced multi-threading. Now, before I continue, I've not mentioned Matlab and the power of Matlab for both the Excel, the charting. Now, there's a product in Matlab called Production Server. It's a nice, easy way where you can have client applications be able to connect into Matlab objects and scripts and whatnot. No different than if you're trying to connect into a HTTP server like a Tomcat or a Apache. And it's a similar idea, but with Matlab, with the Matlab Excel, Excel builder, you could probably start using, instead of these .NET components, you can build Matlab scripts and have your Excel front-end worksheets integrate with those Matlab scripts. I've shown that. I've got a YouTube video actually on it, so search for it. It's out there and it's possible. I've demoed it. Also, you can do the same thing in charting. So instead of accessing Excel for charting visualization, you can use the ones that I've demoed in my workshop last December, or you can also use Excel, or you can also use the ones from Matlab using the same techniques. Now, when it comes to multi-threading and parallelizing with Matlab NE Builder toolbox, you can easily take your Matlab scripts, create a assembly, and then be able to have your C# application connect into it and talk to the Matlab script. Now, the cool thing about the Matlab NE Builder is that you are able to access all the parallelization capabilities from within Matlab, but you can also have it call from C#. This is very powerful. Now, that is one technique. Remember, these are options that I'm presenting. Now, the next set of options that I'm offering are the same idea, but just using C#. Okay? So these are just options that are available. Which is a smart way? That's the question you need to ask yourself. So as I said, we've already talked about the basic multi-threading. Now we're getting with this chapter 25 on the advanced multi-threading. So we get into locking, mutex, all the different types, notification signaling, monitoring, synchronizing, building timers, and priorities by putting different threads in the background, foreground, background worker, all this and all these different types of libraries, the TPL, continuation. There's examples. There's p-link, another one, and how to handle all the different exceptions. Examples again, shifting curves, and so forth. Holy, one last chapter to go. I hope you're still with me, but you see the power of this book. And I've always shown some of the really cool secrets that you can get with the trading platforms that are out there. It gives you the edge. Don't tell anyone, of course. All right. Next up in chapter 26 is the multi-threading parallelization from within .NET. So obviously talks about how to specifically do it in computational finance applications, different patterns to use for conjoin, geometric decomposition, share lock, read lock, multiple readers, and so on and so forth. We also need to talk about Monte Carlo option pricing using producer-consumer pattern. There's a stopwatch class, time everything. Now, people always ask about garbage collection within C#. Yes, there are some techniques to optimally not have it collect while your application is running, and all the other different techniques to handle that garbage collection. Okay? So, there you go. Ain't that a mouthful? This very powerful book in .NET brings it all together, answers a lot of my questions about things like how to properly integrate .NET and C++ together, how to integrate or interop, I guess new word, with Excel, and all the other techniques that I've shown you to make your application lightweight. This is a very powerful book, and it will give you the edge if you stick with .NET and these techniques that are being shown in this book. Hope you get it. Talk to you later.